everybody, and welcome to Empowerment TV. I am your host, Dr. Janell Jones. When I tell y'all, I'm looking for the collection plate now because you are in for a treat. You know that Empowerment TV is all about authenticity, purpose-driven, and power. And we are here with women who show up unapologetically. I am just so excited to have with me Tamara Hartley. Listen, you guys want to go ahead and get your notebooks, your pens, your pad, probably past collection plate. We're going to do all that today because she is going to drop some jewels for you so that you can really be ready to act out your dreams and take charge of your life. So we're here with Tamara Hartley, and I'm going to give you more information about her. We're going to dive into this interview because I'm so excited. Listen, I'm over here with my notes. Listen, you see my notes? Because I know she's going to share some impactful information that's going to be life-changing. So I want the same for you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Tamara. So as a speaker, author, coach, and take action strategist, Tamara Hartley is not just a guide, but a living example of transformation. Her mission: to inspire you to take your dreams and big ideas off the back burner and bring them to life through consistent action. This is my type of talk, y'all. I'm telling y'all. The founder of the Take Action Academy, Tamara exceeds in transforming knowledge into action, helping you navigate the path from dreaming to doing to getting it done. Whether it's through her books and podcasts, coaching programs and workshops, her podcast and YouTube channel, or when she is dropping gems from the event stage, Tamara champions the long-term pain off of becoming an actor in your own life by taking consistent actions, doing the how, and staying in action until the goal is achieved and your dream becomes your reality. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here.
Listen, I am excited to be here. All I want you to know is, I love you. I love what you're doing. And when you asked me to be a part of this, the answer was yes, yes, yes. So thanks for having me for sure.
Oh man, listen, Tamara is my mentor. I do want y'all to know that she was like when I first started, she was getting me together. Like, wait a minute. What are you doing? So it is such a pleasure and honor to have you here to really share your wisdom and your knowledge with my guests and the many people who's going to watch this, because I know it's going to be very powerful. Before we dive in, just tell us a little bit more about you. I know I did your bio, but give us some other stuff about you that people may not know.
So, it's so funny. I was thinking when I was thinking about this show, it's always more difficult for you to talk about yourself than to have someone else talk about you. But, when I was thinking, I said, you know what? I've been in this game for quite some time. My life has changed a little bit since we even first started talking. I
Mm.
said, so right now, I am an empty nester. All of the kids that I had while we were doing our first coaching program, they've grown up. They're all living their lives. So I have more time to devote to me. So I'm a mother of 5. I have 4. I have 3 daughters, a son, and a bonus son I gained along the way. So I was that busy mom. So I know what it's like to be that parent and to still try to run that business, start those businesses, live your dream, do your own thing. And I just learned a thing or two, and I turned that into a business. So as a coach and consultant, that is what I do. I help women not just think about it, but actually take the action and do it. We have so much intellectual property and so many big ideas in our head, but how do we get that out and take action? So my business is all about taking action. So as a coach and consultant, that is what I do in my personal business.
I love it. And I know there's a whole bunch of women who need this, who really need to hear this, because I know there's so many women sitting on the sideline. It's the start of the new year, and you know how that goes. We're
Yes.
amped about the start of the new year. We about to get in. We this is the year. We're
you know,
declaring that.
Yes, and it's so funny. So, Les Brown is one of my mentors as well, and I, have taught plenty of his workshops around some of his speaking engagements and some of the workshops and things that he has. And I always tell him, I say he gets on the stage and he motivates people. By the time people leave Les Brown, they're like, yes, 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 we can do it. But when they step off that stage, that's where I step in, because now you're rah, 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 we can do it. but how do we do it? So, it's that beginning of the year. Everyone is like trying to make changes. New year, new me. I know how we get, but here I come because I'm the one that helps you actually do just that. So I believe
Mhm.
in new year, new you. I want to help you actually really do it so that next year we aren't saying those same things, but we have new and improved goals for next year.
Mm. I just want to clap right there or snap my fingers because I think that's really profound to say. Yes, we start with the new year, new you. The gyms are packed, all this stuff, but the action is the same. So, but we go, yeah, you know what? That's one of my questions. We're gonna get down to it later. So before we even jump ahead,
Look, I
we're
have
gonna
to I
get.
have to before we even start, I have to give the people a disclaimer. When Janelle and I get together, we can go. So, we may go over here, but we'll come back. But we drop nuggets between the two of us. So that's just how we do.
Yes, it's so enlightening to talk to her. I'm like, oh my God, all these ideas. So I love having conversations really because she is one that when I talk about authenticity, she is one of the most authentic persons that I know, especially in the coaching realm, where she's doing it differently and she's not doing it like doing the fluff. She's not doing what everybody is doing or saying. She's doing it from her heart. And that's what makes her so uniquely different from most coaches. So this is why I love talking to her and dropping them gems, like she said, so that it's really impacting me. I ain't playing over here. I got my notes down because I'm gonna be writing some stuff down. So I actually wanted to get into become an actor. I
Yes.
know the title is, okay, oh, I'm about to go to Hollywood and do all this, but I really want you to talk to us about becoming an actor and explain the meaning behind it, and what the book really means.
Absolutely. So this is my, how you have that brainchild. This is my brainchild. And to answer everybody's question, am I an actor? So yes, I was a commercial actor and a voiceover actor. So I have that experience. But when I talk about becoming an actor, I'm not talking about on the stage or in the movies. I'm talking about an actor in your own life. When we think about an actor, we do think about Hollywood, but in reality, I use actor as a verb. Of actor is somebody who gets things done, people who are taking action, doing what they need to do, and actually following through and getting things done until that dream or that goal is actually realized. So when I'm talking about becoming an actor, I'm talking about becoming an actor in your own life, not on stage or in the movies, but in your own life.
Mm. That's so I like that you also referenced that you had that experience, but also really taking the lead in your life. So
Yes.
being able for you to really step up and do the things that, like we said before, those resolutions that go incomplete or incomplete, those things that really makes you do those things or help you do those things so that you can really live the life that you want.
Yes. And so and I really equate it to the movies and theaters and being an actor because there's so many elements that you can use in your personal life. When you think about what a director does, okay, you are the director in this story. You are the person in charge. You're the person making decisions for yourself. So you're the director. I talk about having your script. What is it that you want? Being clear about what you want. You write
Mhm.
your own script. And so I can take those elements from the acting world and put it into your personal development because you're the person in charge and you're in charge of where you want to be. And so in the book that I wrote, which I'm so happy about this book, it makes those references. It tells you how to become an actor and it kind of uses some of those references
Mhm.
that we're all familiar with from the acting world, but it's for you to be an actor in your own life.
And I love that you're because it's almost like you're everything. You're taking this role. You're not like the third wheel over there behind the bench or the extra person in the movie.
Mhm.
This because most of us, let's be honest, have been playing that role for a long time, being the
Absolutely.
extra. So it's
Absolutely.
like, mm-hmm,
And it comes down to you are in charge. It's all about you.
mm-hmm,
I my first book was about stop blaming others for your life because you have to take responsibility for you and your results. It's easy to
mm,
blame that teacher, to blame that ex, to blame your parents, to blame other people, but in essence not that everything that happened to you was your fault, but things that happen to you is still your responsibility to come up out of that. And so we do tend to blame people. And in another sense, we give people control. Oh,
Mm,
I gave you control. That's you. You're doing this to me. But no, I'm all about taking back your control in your life, your relationships, your career. And when you do that, you're taking back that power. And so my whole business is about your power. You have the power to make new and better
mm,
choices. You have the power to take action. You have the power to determine who and what you want to be and to actually do it.
mm. This made me think. I'm telling you, when you were saying that, my mind was just like boo, 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 boo. It was just going everywhere because I feel like now I'm not. This is not evidence-based practice or anything like that. But I feel like if you look at most of the world, it's only like 5% of people who really do these things where they take action and responsibility for their lives, which is different. For you writing this amazing book, I know it's going to be the bomb.com, writing this amazing book, becoming an actor, what inspired you? So looking back, what was just like, okay, I need to get this book out here. I need to get this story. I need to share with the people this book. What inspired you to do that and go deep with it?
So, one thing, I'm a very transparent person. A lot of what I do comes out of my own experience. And so, even when I wrote that book, Stop Wasting Your Time, it started out a different book, and that was not the title. But in writing that book, I found myself really, I was telling my personal experiences, but I was doing a lot of blame game in the
Mm.
actual book. And I was like, my spirit was like, hold up. This isn't how this is supposed to go. I was more motivated by what I'm learning and what I've been through. And then how can that, just help other people? I have
Mhm.
3 daughters, and it's important for me to pour into them, not my son too, but as women, just shaping them and really showing them that they're in charge of their journey and their story. And so it
Mhm.
really was like a labor of love at first. And that's why I
Mhm.
started it. And then just over the years in my coaching business, I'm that coach that I get so upset with people, and I can't have everybody can't be my client because we get a lot of people who just aren't ready to do the work yet. And so those are people who I can't necessarily work with because a coach, and you're a coach, it is not a magic pill. People can't come to you and drop it in your lap and you go voila and it's all fixed and done. We don't do the work for you. You have to think about a basketball team. They can have all the talent in the world. That coach is not out there running up and down the court. No,
Mm-mm.
we're not running up and down the court. We're putting together strategy in place to help you win with what you already have inside of you. And so I started seeing that most of my clients were coming to a coach to think that, they were going to walk away with this magic story and this magic success story. And
Mm.
that's just not how it is. And so I wrote the Become an Actor as a way to not only just help my clients, but to really just show people that you have to do the work. We
Mm.
see, in the Bible it says faith without works is dead. Well, so is out here when it comes to your dreams. You can dream, but if you're not taking action, and that consistent action is key. And we just talked about that in the green room. Consistent action is the key. And so I wanted to put that in a book. That's my love language to the world,
Mm.
to take action and how to take action. Most of us don't take action. It's not because we don't want to. It's not even so much. Some people are lazy, but it's not even that we're all lazy. A lot of it I find is that people don't know what to do. They don't know how. They don't know where to start. That's just it. They're trying to figure
Yeah.
it all out. And so I wanted to put together a product that really helped people not only just figure out the how, but then go that extra step and do the how. We all have
Mhm.
knowledge. We all learn different things, but putting it into action and applying that knowledge is where a lot of us fall off. That's where I fell off for years. And so again, that's where it's just a labor of love. And I wanted to put that together, started for my children, but now it's for all my clients and now it's for everyone who needs it.
Mm. I love a few things that you said that it's your love language to the world. I love that so much. And one of the things that you said that was very honest, like I said, I appreciate that about you. These are the things that you've been through.
Mhm.
I'm sure you were under somebody getting coached, like you said, Les Brown is your mentor. So learning from someone, listen, even having a mentor as great as Les Brown, he could give you all the information on being a speaker and doing all of these things. But if you're not taking action,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And I
Yeah.
think that is what is so, I mean, even in therapy, right? Like I'll have clients who won't do the work. And it's like you said, we want this magic pill, and that is not how it works. And I get that it's not people being lazy, which we're gonna get into the whys in a minute. I get that people are not, it's not just that, it's a whole plethora of things why people don't do what they do. But for a coach, like if I was Phil Jackson and I was coaching, I'm gonna do Kobe and Shaq, right? And they were not putting in the work, I will fire them.
Yeah, you would, and you would have to sit them on the bench and get some other players into the game.
Yes, because coaching someone, a lot of times people have been there,
Mhm.
right? They know kind of how, that's why they're teaching you what they, a lot of times they are teaching you what they know so that you don't have to spend years like they did twiddling their thumbs and trying to figure out how to get from A to B. They show you how to do it in such a short period of time. So it's
Absolutely.
not, yes, go
And I was
ahead.
gonna say, and that's really important why it's right to have why you need to have the right coach for you.
Yes.
A coach cannot be for everyone all the time. There are
Mm-hmm.
coaches that have to be specific to you and what you're trying to do. And hopefully you pick a coach that has been where you are so they can help guide you a little bit easier. There are coaches out here who are teaching things they've only read about in a book. And I don't want to be that coach, and I'm not that coach. And that's why I tend to be so transparent and to teach
Yeah.
from my experience, So when I say I've been there, done that, I really mean it. Now, that doesn't mean that the exact way that I did it is going to work for everyone, but I can still share that experience and share that perspective that might spark someone else to actually find that answer. So you
Yeah.
have to find a coach that can help guide you and hopefully has been where you are. Because, like I said, there are people out here teaching sales and never have sold a thing except you in their program.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's true. And especially with Chat GBT being, I felt like people, I had read something like people, this is when chat was a little bit new. Like people are paying you, or people want you to pay for them to teach you chat. And it just came out last week. I was
Yes.
just like, what in the
Yes,
world?
because they
But
see an opportunity, and
yeah,
I am not jealous or mad at anybody's hustle, but I am a informed consumer, and so I only purchase things that make sense for me, and I encourage everybody to only purchase things that make sense for you. Now, where I see some of that stuff being helpful is if you're, we've told our things like I'm not a tech person, so we think we need
yeah,
to, tap into every guru that's selling something, but the truth of the matter is we all have knowledge, we all can go and look up some of the same types of things. If you have the time and energy to do that, I would encourage you to do that because even if you are tapping into somebody who is a marketing guru, if you don't speak the marketing language, you don't know what they're selling you. So you
yeah.
need to have some level of knowledge about everything you tap into because you could be taken
Mm,
for a ride. That's why I said I'm an informed consumer. I may not know everything about the law, but I know enough to talk to a lawyer to know what I'm asking and what
mm.
they're going to be doing for me.
Ooh, listen, this is where I need to take notes. Let me tell you why. Because one of the things I have noticed is people, including me, so that's why I'm putting it out there. There's aspects of the business that we don't really want to do. We're ready to pawn it off on someone else. Let me go hire some marketer to do this. Let me go hire someone to do that. I think sometimes it's okay to hire people, but you do need to have the knowledge of what that looks like. You don't have to be the expert in it, but somebody can be running ads for you and pocketing half that money because it don't take that much to actually run the ads.
Yes.
So it is important for you to get to know some of those aspects in your business. So you're looking at your business when you're running reports and things like that. You can interpret what those mean instead of relying on someone to do it for you. So I think that
Yes.
listen, this is where we need the collection plate because I
And I
go
was just gonna
ahead.
say, you're absolutely right. We have to be a generalist. We have to have general
Yes.
knowledge of a lot of different areas that we want to work in and tap into people who have the expertise. Now, I think sometimes as solopreneurs, we get a bad rep because people tell you things like if you're working in your business, you don't have a business, you're not an entrepreneur, you should be outsourcing everything and you should be focused on. I mean, that's all well and good when you have your business up and running. But if you're starting out, you're a solopreneur, you're still
Mm,
learning. I encourage you to be a DIYer. I was a DIYer. I'm still a DIYer. I do a
mm-hmm.
lot of things myself until I can tap into somebody else who can do it for me. But then I also kind of keep track and know what they're doing for me too.
Yeah.
So outsource some things as my plate gets full and I need to focus on something else, but you cannot outsource everything as soon as you get started because you want to have knowledge. And that's what I did. I built knowledge up
Mm,
first and then you can outsource. That's just my philosophy because like
yeah.
I said, you have to be informed about the contractors, and I'll tell you, my professional business is marketing communication. I've been in public relations, all of those things. Public relations is one of those areas where you could lose your shirt because as a publicist, it's not really a industry that is very tangible. I can
Mm,
say, okay, Janelle, you're my client, I'm your publicist. I'm going to try to get you some media. I'm going to try to get you a magazine cover, whatever it is. I'm doing the work and I'm putting out inquiries and doing different stuff. But if they say, no, I'm not putting it on the magazine, you still got to pay me
mhm,
because I did the work.
mhm.
So when you
Yeah.
think about things like that, there are some things that you can do yourself. There's some things you can tap into yourself. And then when you get those resources and you've made your brand and you're ready for that kind of investment, you can tap into other people. But like I said, you have to be a generalist. You have to know what you're paying people to do. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, we're taught by other entrepreneurs who might have a larger kind of business, or maybe, like I said, their business is really just selling to you. A lot of times they make you feel bad, like
Yeah.
you're not a real entrepreneur because you're doing things in your business. But to me, that's my biggest asset. I'm my business. So I'm going to be tuned in. I'm be tapped in. Like my son says, I'm tapped in to my business. And to me, that's being personal. That's being in it. It's understanding it before I outsource.
Mm. And it reminds me. So when we first got together, I was like, I need a virtual assistant. I'm about to find a virtual assistant. And then I remember you being like, well, what they gonna do? Because I didn't know how to work my business. Like I was like, I don't even know what tech. I didn't understand my business enough for the purpose of having a virtual assistant. I was just like, oh, this is the thing that people are saying to do because it helps her alleviate some of the work, right? But it was like, so I'm looking at her, she's looking at me like, what do we need to do? Because I didn't have the understanding of how to operate in my business. So it was like, okay, well, what job description are you going to give her when you don't even know how your day-to-day is in your business? And it's like, oh, or even having business systems, you're like, okay, so why are you paying, this amount of money for this when, you don't have to until you get your clients, right? And I was like, oh, and I'm telling you, that has been one of the earmarks of me being a coach, is really helping people start their coaching business without having to pay for all these systems. You do need systems, but you don't
Yes.
have to spend $500 a month on systems, right? When you're first starting. And I think I want you to know that came from you, because you was like, okay, you're spending all the money that you're making on your job to go into systems that no one is using because you don't have any clients yet. I'm like, oh.
So let me just be transparent. That was also a lesson that I learned myself that I share with my clients because
Mm,
the very first business that I started when I first, started coaching, I got office space. I had a cute little setup. I had, everything was orange. It was all creative looking. I had an orange trash can. It was just pretty. My website was up. And I said, I'm open for business and didn't have a client the first, but I was paying rent. So when I shared that with you, that was from that experience because I realized, why am I doing all of this when I should have been looking at getting clients, having a business before getting business space? I was paying for that. And for the sake of, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in this creative space paying rent and I have not client the first. So that was the first time I started that business. The second time I said, okay, I need to have clients. I'm getting clients. So guess what? I got some clients and I was good to go. I focused on those clients. I did my best for them. And guess what? When those contracts ended, I didn't have more clients coming in. That's the second thing I learned. Oh, you got to have a
mm,
pipeline. You got to keep doing some things. So that's where that came, where I
mm,
shared with you after I've had those two businesses that kind of went flip flop. And like I said, we go in and out of business. I didn't give up, but I learned some things. So I use that failure to not only inform
mm,
myself, but also to inform my clients when they came along to say, hey, you know what? You're focused on the wrong area. You're spending money here And that will make you frustrated as a business owner because you'll feel like you're getting nowhere. You're working a job to put into your business and you're not getting the return.
Okay. Because listen, the gem for me was when you're doing this, right? You said like you said you took that failure. Because this is gonna help somebody's whole life in business today. Okay. You took that failure, you didn't quit because of those failed moments. You learned from those. And I know we hear all the lessons and failure and stuff like that. But for you to say, listen, I had to pivot. I recognize this was not working. And instead of me packing up my suitcase and tossing it in the towel, I just did something different, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be important for people who are in the coaching business, because I know I was saying this in the green room where, we be like, yes, I'm about to start. I'm good to go. We 30 days in and we've been posting for 30 days. 2 people commenting on our posts, like you said, the friggin' saying X, Y, and Z and all that stuff. And then 30 days later, you're like, what happened? I don't got no clients. And then a lot of times this is where people tap out. And it may not be 30 days. It could be 6 months. It could be a year.
Yes.
But when people don't see the results that they think they should get, they're done with their business.
Yes.
So for you, kind of,
Yeah.
how do you encourage people to keep moving despite not getting the gratification that they think they need right now?
Well, let's be clear. I packed up that office, I packed up my orange trash can, and I got out of there and came to my home office, which is where I'm sitting right now.
Yes, yes.
And everything that I've been able to do, I've been able to do it from my home office. I didn't need to be paying that. I think
Mm,
the biggest thing that I encourage people is to really think about the mistakes that are being made so that you can
mm,
course correct right in the middle. It's I encourage people to keep going because listen, you have the vision. That vision was given to you.
mhm,
So your obligation is to fulfill that vision. There are people out there who need you, they need what you have. And I want you to be able to give that to them. And so, as a coach, trying to keep you motivated and on that track is also being realistic and being real. And it's funny. I always laugh when you act like me when I was telling you things because I was like, hey, no. But as a coach, sometimes you do have to be real because I care about you. That's why I was sharing
mm,
those things with you. And I also believed in everything that you were doing. And I always shared that as well. So it was not always what do you think you're doing? You're not doing it right. It wasn't
mm-mm,
that because I believed in everything. I still believe in everything that you do. But I will say for that quick gratification, that's another fallacy that's out in the world, that business is quick and that you're just going to
mm,
immediately go out there and you're going to succeed. And some people do, and bless them. Great that you did that.
mhm.
But you got to stay the long course. It's
Yeah.
a it's not always that instant gratification. It's about being steady, but then also, posting for 30 days, doing all of these things. What I
Mhm.
found is that it's just not the whole picture. You got to
Mm,
do more than posting for that 30 days. That 30
mhm,
days is just letting people know that you've started something. It is not telling people to buy that product from you. So then you have to have other strategies. We talk a lot about funnels and all the buzzwords that are out there. That stuff is really real. You have to have a way for people to come into your business, and you have to understand how you're going to sell them more than one time, how you're going to take them through all of the products that you have. But guess what? If you don't have any products, then you're going to be that person that's just posting on Instagram or posting on Facebook if that's all that you have. If you are completely just tunnel vision on posts and quotes and graphics, you're not going to really have a successful business because there's a lot of other things that have to go on behind the scenes to
mm,
maintain that business. And guess what? Even if you're an author, I got a book right there, a book over here. If I'm just selling books out my trunk and that's my goal, every one book is a sale, that's fine. But how do I serve my clients after they've read that book or after they purchase that
mm,
book? If you
mhm,
are a speaker and you step off that stage and you don't have something else for people, you're doing a disservice to your clients. And so, me, I go into hibernation modes where I am creating all of that content, and not saying that everybody has to like hibernate like I do, or that you have to create everything at once. But when you come out with a book, you better have a workbook, you better have a workshop, you better have something else in the pipeline for people to buy next. or
Mm,
they'll be on to the next person. And so
mm,
I think it's just a better strategy to have more, think about your business holistically than just that one-off Facebook post or that one-off Instagram and that quote you came up with. Like, you really got to think about your business and how you're going to serve clients outside of Facebook and Instagram, or even speaking on a stage.
mm. That's a whole like
And that's called a real business. You know what I mean?
listen. You know what? I love that. But one of the things that was very profound when you said that to me was having different things in your business. Okay, if you're trying to reach them just through social media, hey, look at me over here, and then you don't have a call to action for them to get a service or product or whatever. Then what is it? You got the book, then what? Like you said. So creating other things to go along with this. But one of the things I hear a lot of times is people say, stay in your lane, right? So a lot of people are like, I just got to create the book and that's it. This gonna bring me $100 million a year. So talk to us, especially when it comes to acting. Like, you're an actor in your life, you done wrote the book, and then now people are like, stay in your lane. What do you say for that person when it's like, okay, it's not just staying in your lane. I'm not gonna tell you what I think, because it's like God created us to create, right? But
Yes.
for you, what do you say to that person, especially when it's becoming an actor in their own life, when they're talking about, I'm gonna stay in my lane, they think their only lane is just this one lane.
So first, let me free some people right now. Because I am one of those people who people will look at sometimes and say, wow, she's doing this and she's doing that. She's doing too much. Says who? She's
Yeah.
doing this. And, jack of all trades. Let me talk about that, because in my book, I talk about being called that jack of all trades. And we
Mm,
know part of that quote that says, jack of all trades, master of none, right?
mhm,
And that has a very negative connotation. But I did some research on that whole phrase, and I
mm,
found out there's more. The actual quote is, jack of all trades, master of none, but most often better than a master of one. I just freed somebody because that freed me. And what that told me, though, too, is we are multi-talented, and God
mm,
has placed a lot in me, and I can tap into any of it that I want to. Right now, you see that most people who are saying they're at millionaire status, they have 7 to 8 streams of revenue.
mm,
There's not one person out here staying in a lane and just trying to peddle a book. And we are in a digital age. We're in a global, you have access to people around the globe now in ways that we didn't have before. You better have more than one product to offer, or you're going to
mm,
spend all your time just spinning trying to sell this one book to a whole bunch of people who don't already have it. But wouldn't it be a lot easier to have your tribe of people who want any and everything you bring out? Think about McDonald's. Okay. People are McDonald's fans. They like the brand, they like the food. If McDonald comes out with the McPizza, the McRib, the Mc whatever, people are going to try it because that's McDonald's.
mhm,
You got to operate like a McDonald's. You got to have multiple products. You got to have multiple
mm,
services. You got to feed your clients in different ways. Some people like to read what you have. Some people just want to listen to what you have. Some people just want to see what you have and come to your live events. And so if you are a real business owner and you're in business, you want to try to service those clients in those ways. So you need multiple products to do that. Now, here's the key. Don't get overwhelmed by what I just said, because you can take content and turn it into different modalities. So
mm,
I was sharing with you in the green room. I have a book, but I also have the workbook of that book. That can be done in a workshop. Like right there,
mm,
there's 3 different ways that can be done.
mm,
And that's what we have to. You can take your one piece of content, your signature message, your signature project, and turn that into multiple modalities. And so
mm,
that's less pressure on someone than thinking I got to come up with 10 different ideas. No, but let's go back to Les. Les has been in the game for how many years?
mm,
Les has 2 messages. Live your dreams.
mm.
You have greatness in you. and nothing else. And his whole business surrounds those messages. And I
Mm,
just think that people can do the same thing. So it's not just about staying in a lane, a particular
mm,
lane. You might stay in a lane and not stray from your message. You might be
mm,
consistent there and you get known for something, you build a brand around something, but you are wide open to put out as many products, as many packages that you can pull together, serve as many clients as you can. So again, jack of all trades, master of none, but most often better than the master of one. Meaning, if you got all this creativity and you got all these talents, you are better than somebody who just knows one thing.
mm,
If and I'm not picking on anybody, but if I'm a brain surgeon, I'm a brain surgeon. I'm pretty focused on that. A brain surgeon is not over here, brain surgery goes out of business. Brain surgeon got to go back to school and find something else or another. He's so specialized or they're so
mm,
specialized, they got to go back and learn a different medicine. Even though you in medical school, you probably learn general stuff. When you start specializing, you go one
mhm,
way. If that goes another way, what are you going to do? And so that's how I
mm.
look at myself. I'm blessed in that regard. Like, I don't have to stay in one lane,
Yeah. And
and I'm
I
not
know
going to let
you
nobody
free
put me
people.
there.
Yeah, that's listen, that's it right there. And I know that you freed a lot of people because people get so consumed with that. I think it shuts off your creativity when you're saying you need to just stay in one lane. I do think you have to learn how to, like you said, prioritize and
Hmm.
work in different things. But when you start to say, well, let me tell you, God, if I'm created in the image of God, yes, we're gonna bring God in this. And he is the creator of everything. He is constantly creator. That same power is on the inside of me. It is utterly impossible for us to just not be creative unless we're just, not utilizing our power to create. That's
Yes.
what he's gifted us with. That is
Yes.
what gives us wealth. It's our creativity, right?
Absolutely.
That's what gives us the funds and the money and it's not all about money. We understand that, but it's ultimately that is what gets you to where you want to be is that creative, but you have to take action. And if, like you said, you have to do something, even if you're better doing something of many things than doing nothing. And
Yes.
you're just sitting there waiting for things to happen. So I love it. This is so good. Listen, that I know that freed about 25,000 people right there, probably more, but I know it did. So y'all need to take that to heart. Stop getting in this box that you can't do X, Y, and Z just because people are screaming, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
So my next question to you is, what do you feel like is holding most people back? Because we talked about the laziness, and maybe that's not it, from really taking action on their goals and becoming the lead actor in their own life.
So I think the biggest thing that stops so many people is fear. And
Mm,
it's not just fear of I'm scared to do it. It's fear of the unknown. What happens if I do it? So
mm,
fear can come across in many different ways. Who's going to buy my products if I put them together? Am I really worthy? Have I done enough? Do I need to get a certification to be a coach? Do I
mm,
need to go back to school and get this degree before I? So it's that fear of being inadequate, not
mm,
knowing that we're enough to do what we're really wanting to do. I think that is it. And then some people don't know what they want to do. We've been
mhm,
brainwashed in so many different ways. Like I talked about all my different children. When I was coming up, we were taught to go to college. I was a first generation college student. When I went to Howard, it was like you be a doctor, a lawyer, or you be something that can make some money. I was not taught to go after a passion or to do anything. So when I got
mm,
to Howard, I was a chemistry major. I was going to be a
mm.
neurosurgeon. Do I look like a neurosurgeon? I could have did it because I can do anything, but I wouldn't
Mhm,
have been happy. And so when I got to college and saw I could be creative, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I think people don't know what they want to do sometimes, or they don't know like where they fit in. But then I also think outside of fear, outside of not knowing what they really want to do because they just did something because somebody told them to, I think people, when they figure out what they want to do, they don't know what to do or how to
mm,
start. And that's where I really centered my business around that, because I think that really stops a lot of people. I just don't know what to do. And so I don't do anything.
mhm,
They don't know how to start. They don't know how to turn what's in here into this. They don't
Mhm.
know how to
Mhm.
make a living with it or how to turn it into a business. Who's going to buy that product? How do I reach those people? They're so overwhelmed by those processes, they just don't do anything. So I think fear, but I also think just not knowing what to do, how or where to start is really what
Mhm.
holds people back.
And that's really good because a lot of people, if you're thinking about, it's like the elephant in the room, right?
Mhm.
How do you eat this elephant? You got this giant thing just here, and people are looking like, I don't know where to start. And it's
Mhm.
normally just one bite at a time. Just go
Yeah.
for the gusto. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't. A lot of people, that analogy, and a lot of people understand that they need to take action, even though they're saying, I don't know where to start. I can't imagine how many people, especially in the coaching world, have had the idea of starting their coaching business. They're like, I want to help people do X, Y, and Z. 25 years later, they haven't done nothing. They could have
Yeah.
been Oprah at this, you know what I'm saying? If they
Yes.
would have tapped into it, they could have been Oprah, but they were side by side with her and then gave up on their dreams.
Yeah.
For you, when it comes to seeing people just like kind of tapping up, and I like that you said it's not lazy. Most people want more. Like
Yeah.
I think that that's our design. Like we want more, but there is that fear and all those other things that kind of like debilitate us and stop us. What do you feel like, especially in your book, um, is the biggest overcomer? How do people overcome that fear or the unknown?
So I deal with fear in a very different way. Fear is not something, look, that I'm afraid of. Fear is not something that I'm even trying to get over. Fear is
Mm,
something, it's just a feeling that I think we all have. Just to be honest, I think we all have some level of fear that happens to us here and there. But
mhm,
the thing that I've learned to do is to take action despite the fear, because what I know, a lot of fear comes from the unknown. Once you do something and you practice and you get comfortable with it, that fear is usually out the window. You start
mm,
building confidence like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. When you start a new job, you don't know everything you need to know about the company, the job, but over time you know it. And now you're talking like everybody was talking when you came into the building and you wasn't sure what was happening. So
mm,
once we get familiar with things and we start practicing and getting it done, we become, that fear just leaves us. And so
mm,
if you get in the practice of acting despite the fear, you start building your confidence, because it's like, oh, you know what? It wasn't as scary as I thought. Oh,
mm,
that fear didn't last long at all. Now I'm ready. I can do it. Preparation, practice, puts fear right out the window. Every time I
mm,
get on the stage, I have a fear in my stomach when I get out there, but then I get out there and can do what I do because I'm prepared and I practice. And
mm,
usually how you practice is how you perform. So if you take that practice seriously and it becomes that muscle, you just
mm,
you use it,
mhm,
you do it. I think it was Michael Jordan. They were asking him how he always used to hit those buzzer shots. Like, he was just doing what he did in practice. It wasn't even about
mm,
that particular game. If he's hitting them in practice, he's hitting them in the game. It's that muscle
mm,
memory, it's that practice that gives you the confidence to do that. So fear is not something for us. We spend so much time focused on fear. And I do believe God did not give us the spirit of fear. And it's funny to me, but it was no other spirit that was mentioned other than fear, because fear is the foundation of all the others. We're not given the spirit
mm,
of fear. And so it's really just something that we make up in our minds, and it's a feeling that we feel. But soon as something we get comfortable and we build that confidence, the fear goes out the window. So go through the fear. Do it. Don't try to get over it. Don't look on the internet researching how to get over fear. Because we do things like that. Oh,
yes.
so
That's why I'm
this is
laughing.
but here's another reason why I think people don't take action too, because now it's even worse with the internet and just our
Mm,
global society, is that Voltaire, and this is from my Howard days, he said, the multitude of books is making us ignorant.
wow.
So imagine how that has quadrupled and multiplied with the internet. The multitude
Mm,
of information that is out there gives us that paralysis of, we can't
yeah.
make a decision because it's so much information out there. Who do I believe? This coach said to do this. This one said do this, and some of it is conflicting. I mean, if you go out here and look at diets. Oh, we're supposed to be eating this. Oh no, we shouldn't eat any of that. It's conflicting information. And so we don't know what to do with it. And so it keeps us stuck.
Mm,
So you're out here looking over how to get over fear. And I'm telling you right now, this is how you get over fear. You stop worrying about the fear and you keep going, and don't try to get over it. Just move through it.
I
Don't
love
try to get over
that.
it.
I love that. Like, let me
And
hurry up
that
and
is not and that is not some cliche saying. I'm telling you, don't try to get over it. Move through it.
Mhm. Did y'all hear that? This is where we do the collection plate, move through it. Because it's going to come up,
Yes. Even
especially when
even
you,
the most seasoned people still have elements of
yeah.
fear.
Listen, I was so anxious about this interview. And I do that every time I get on the show. Like, oh, okay,
Yes.
so yeah, you push through it. But I love that you said like we're in information overload. I just talked about this, how if you have 25 coaches, you can get 25 different answers.
Yes.
So we're in information overload, but we're not doing anything ourselves to take that leap or take the next
Yeah.
step, which is my next question to you. What's the first next step? If I don't know what to do, what's my first next step to do? What's the first action I need to do?
One, if you don't, you have to make some decisions first. Let's start there. You
Mm,
have to make a decision first. Before you listen to anyone else, you have to make a decision that commits you to your end goal. If I want to be a
mhm,
coach, I have to commit that I want to be a coach. By making that
mm,
one commitment, it helps me to move forward, and it helps me to dodge everything, to make some quick decisions. It helps me to streamline this process for myself. Everyone's worried about what the next step is. Take a step, and
mm,
then we won't always know the next step. I'm just being honest. You don't always know that next right step, but if you keep moving and taking steps, you'll figure it out. That next step might be the wrong one, but it might show you that,
mhm,
oh, okay, I need to do this one. And you are very well capable of turning back around and doing it.
mhm,
So I was somewhere, and I don't know who to give this credit, but it really touched my soul. And it's been so long ago, I don't know who to give credit. But I want to say I was reading Russell Simmons' book. I don't know the book, but I'll get with Janelle because I want to drop it and give people proper credit. But the analogy was, if you get on a train and you're heading this way and you find out, oh, I'm going the wrong way. Do you just stay on the train and go to the end? Or do you get off at the next stop and go back around?
mm,
And that's what we have to start doing in our daily lives. We don't always know that next step. We're walking by faith. We don't always know what that next step is. But guess what? Whatever that step is, if it's not right, flip over and go the other one. I remember, I used to
that's
work for
good.
Dr. Booth. I thought about him today, bless his soul.
Oh,
Rest in peace. You know how I feel about him. But I
mhm,
remember someone called the church. They had just had a housewarming. They had bought a new house, had a housewarming, moved into the house, and they didn't like the house. And so they
mm,
called Dr. Booth and was like, I don't know what to do. I don't like the house. And he said, sell it and move. And their thought was, well, I just had a housewarming. And he was like, so. But that said so
mm,
much to me because that's what we do. So this is my spin on the train story. So sometimes people won't get off at the next step and turn back around and just go back the right way or the other way. What they'll do is some people will sit on the train because they're like, wow, I just got on. I don't want people to
mm,
see that I just got on. I'm about to get right off. Or you know what? I'm just going to take it to the end. I've already paid my money,
mm,
and I'm just going to take it to the end and just come on back. Like, some people are up for the ride. They don't care nothing about actually going the right way. And some people are like, you know what? This bus is crowded. I'm in my seat. I don't want to give up my seat. I'm
mm,
gonna ride out. All kind of crazy reasons why we wouldn't get off a train we're going the wrong direction and just get off and go back the other direction.
mm, 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 mm.
So that next step is not always clear. It's not always, this is what you do, one, two, three. And even though, like, I give some steps in my book, it's the steps to a process for sure. But
Yeah.
those steps are individualized for you based upon where you are in that process.
Mm,
Somebody cannot tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. They can give you suggestions, they can give you best practices, but we are unique individuals. What works for me may not always work for you, but I'll still share it. What works for Janelle may not work for you. But you know what? Janelle might tell you something that sparks you, and you're like,
mhm.
oh, instead of doing that, I'm gonna do what she did, but then I'm gonna do this because in my life, this is key and this is my situation. And then you're figuring things out. We're
Yeah.
not promising you the answers. We're promising you steps and formulas that have worked. We're giving you strategies like the coach. The coach doesn't say,
Mm,
okay, we want to win. We have strategies to win. And if we follow these
mhm.
strategies, we could very well win this game. But there's a possibility they have strategies too, and they might
Yeah.
win this game. And it's in life is that way to me when I think about that.
Mhm.
But if you take a wrong step and you find out you took a wrong step, go the other way, do something
Yeah.
different. Don't stop. When we let it
Yeah.
stop us, that's when it becomes, I took the wrong step. You got to keep moving.
Mm,
Every step is not going to be the right step. I'm
mm-mm.
sorry.
And it reminds me of how you were saying with the office, like, this wasn't it.
It
Paying
wasn't it.
$500 a month for the office and I can get my
Not applying
taxes
to first.
right. This ain't it. So I think that's really important. I know Martin Luther King has a quote. I don't want to misquote it, but he says something about take the first step. Faith is taking the first step, even when you can't see the full staircase. So that's kind of how you have to operate. And if it's not working, stop worrying about what people think. When you said that, all I thought was, what is people going to think? What is people going to say if I get off and do this? And
Yeah.
it's just like, if you know you need to get off of that thing, your intuition is screaming at you to get off, then get off. It's okay.
Yeah.
Gotta retrace it and make it all work.
Yeah.
So
And
my next, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was just going to say too, and sometimes we got to be careful about the people that we're listening to and who's pouring
Mm,
into us in that way. Now, sometimes people don't mean malice. They're not being malicious when they tell you things. They're just telling you things from their experience. When my mother told me to go to Howard, be a doctor or a lawyer, she
mm,
wasn't trying to be spiteful or had malice. She was just telling me from her experience of what she knew and what she didn't experience. She didn't go to college. She knows if you go to college, go make some money. We got somebody, a doctor in the family. Like, they're telling you those things. When we as parents telling our kids to do certain things, we're telling them, trying to shape them, inform, but we're using our own experience. Sometimes people are sharing things out of their experience, not, but don't
mm.
let it limit you. I take
Yes.
advice with just as that advice, but I'm going to do my own thing. One of the things that you said in
Mm,
your introduction to me, and it's funny because you always say this, and I thought about it when you said it. I was like, I guess I am like that, but I'm like that in my life too. You know what I mean?
mm,
Not just in my business,
mhm,
but in my life. Like I listen to counsel, I get advice from mentors, but then I also make the decision for myself
mhm,
and do what's best for me and best for where
mm,
I'm trying to go. I don't do business like everyone says, like, you're supposed to be outsourcing your business. You should be doing this. Okay, that's great. And I'm listening. And when I get to that point, I might do that, but I'm going to do it my way. You have to be in control. Stop giving your power away and make your final decision. You can listen and, look at examples, but you have to do what's right for you and God puts things into us and he gives us that discernment. You have to use your own
mm.
discernment for yourself. And then stand in it. I made
Mhm.
that decision.
Yep.
Don't blame Janelle. Janelle didn't tell you to do that. You made the decision,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
I love that because it takes you to the beginning where you were talking about, I was blaming all these people for at the end of the day. And when we're blaming the people, those are the roadblocks. Those are the things that
Yes.
kind of stop us from really getting to where, because ultimately we're not looking at ourselves and saying we can do it. We're
Yeah.
responsible for our lives, this is why I love the book Become an Actor, because it's like when you do that, you take the role of the actor,
Mhm.
you are responsible for your life and where it's going and
Yes.
driving it to where you want it to be. That means you don't have to have characters in your life who don't belong there,
That's right.
or studs in your life or whatever in your life who doesn't belong there. This means that you have options and choices to really live this like you really desire to, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So
And
this is
it
mhm.
and knowing that it gives me power, and I hope it
Mm,
empowers you that when you take responsibility, if I got myself in this situation,
Mm.
I can get myself out.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you got me in a situation, I have to look at that like I allowed you to get me in a situation. I'm not going to allow
Absolutely.
it again. Like that just gives
Yes.
me power because I can make the choice for me. I make the choice for
Yes.
myself.
Yes. And this is why becoming an actor is so important in your life. If you don't move, if you don't do something, if you don't take responsibility, you're going to remain the same. And we already know new year, new you ain't going to happen if you're doing the same things
That you did last
we
year,
that you
absolutely,
did
without
last
that
year.
accountability, and
No.
that's a word that we don't really like. It's difficult sometimes though, Janelle, to
Mm.
say, "I got myself in that."
Yeah, it is.
It's difficult, like, "You know
Yeah.
what? That was me." It can be embarrassing, it can be
Yeah.
like, "How did I do that again?" We start getting down on ourselves, but it's still power in that
Yeah.
because, like I said, you got yourself in, you can think of a way to get yourself out or do what you need to do to get out, make some new and better choices for yourself, but it's difficult sometimes to admit that, "You know what? I got that office space, nobody forced me, I wanted it." I wanted to
Yeah.
look like a successful entrepreneur. I made the decision to get the orange trash can and be color coordinated.
In the creative space.
Yeah, and orange was such a creative color. I stood out in the office. That was my decision.
Mhm. But for
Oh.
you to say, "I can change that."
Mhm,
And I think that in any situation, you are able to really say, "Let me look at me and
mhm.
see what role I played in this, and whatever role I played in it, whether it's the victim role, like you said, if you allowed that, oh, he cheated on me 5 times, but you took him back 4,
Yeah,
right? So it's like that's your fault to keep taking homeboy back. So then it's like for you to take that accountability is priceless in moving into the direction of where you truly want to be in life. Because all
yeah,
those things I feel like just they hold you back.
yeah,
Because then if you're not taking responsibility, nothing is your fault. You're not going to change. You're going to just it's just everybody else, and then you're going to be continued. Listen, I know people who 60, 70 years old, they still blaming people
yeah, yeah, and it
for the
gets
things
them
that happen.
nowhere, and it really gets them
Nowhere.
nowhere, and that is the
Mm-mm.
sad piece, it gets them nowhere, and I'm not saying so, and I deal with this in my first book, that,
Mm.
there are things that happen to people that you can say, "That's a bad thing that happened to somebody, how was that their fault?" Those things are not our fault. Things happen
Yeah.
to people that are not their fault, but where I think the responsibility still comes in is being able to get over and out of things that have happened to us to the point where we allow it to hold us back. Have you ever just been like so upset about something? You're sulking and you're over here, you're not going outside, you're missing out on whatever because you're mad, and the person that did you wrong is out there living like life is golden, and you're inside upset. That's what I'm saying. We have that responsibility to heal, to get out of, to use our resources, our therapy, all kind of resources that we have to deal with some trauma that has happened
Mhm.
to us because we all only have one life and we have a
Mm.
responsibility to that life. And when we look at
Mm.
it that way, I think that takes you out of that victimhood and it's like, you know what? We all have one life and our
Yes.
responsibility is doing the best we can with that one life. No one else is
Mm.
in charge of that but us. And we can't let someone make us not live that life
Mm-mm.
because of whatever. I'm like, even as a parent
Mm.
of my 5 kids, I'm still responsible for living my life, which is really how all of this really started because I was at one of my kids' games and a lady who I love, an older lady, she was like, "Baby," because that's how they do it, "Baby." She was like, "What are you gonna do with yourself? What are you gonna do with your life?"
Mm.
And as the mother of the year, this was my answer. I first said, "Well, when my kids grow up," and she's like, "Uh-uh." She says, "Stop
Mm.
right there before you say it." She says, "If you wait until these kids grow up before you
Mm.
start living your life and doing what you want to do in life, you're going to live a life full of regrets." And so as a
Wow.
parent at that time, I was like totally shocked because I'm trying to be parent of the year. I'm running
Mm.
these kids to all these recitals and track practice, gymnastics, running myself, living in my minivan. Like I'm doing all these things. I didn't
Mhm.
even know at that time that I should be living a dream or focus on my
Mm.
dream because I still had dreams. I had some, but they were on that back burner. And
Yeah.
that's where I started saying, wow, so you know what? Some kind of way I got to find some balance. I got to know how to be a responsible parent, a mother, and still live
Mm.
my dream. And to do it all at one time, that's where this business really started,
Wow.
because we are responsible for that one life. You can't blame it on your kids that, your kids, it's going to take 18 plus years for them to grow up and to move on and do what they do. And even then, they still need you. Look, we're a testament of that. So, does that ever really happen? So if I would have waited for, my son is 19, he's a sophomore in college. He's at Morehouse. I got another daughter in Atlanta, just graduated. If I was waiting for that, I would just be starting my first business
Mm,
today.
mm, 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 mm.
Today.
Mm, mm,
And
mm,
none of
mm.
us are called to that ministry. We are called to live our life. So how do we find balance to do
Mm.
what we want to do in our life, to maintain our responsibilities to others and still do that? That's really where the books come from. Become an actor in your own life, finding the balance, to all of that comes from that experience right there. And I've been a active parent for 30 years. I would have been waiting 30 years. My oldest is
Mm.
33, youngest is 19. I don't advise that. All my kids are 5 years apart except for the last 2, so I've been an active parent
Mm.
forever. I don't advise that.
But I love that. Like this is the beauty of it. You birth like your vision, your all your stories, your coaching from your experience, from what you've been through, from what you learned. And that aha moment that the
Yeah.
old lady said, baby, taught you, kind of just made you like, because you could have said, she don't know what she's talking about. How many people
Yeah.
do that? She don't,
I
oh
mean,
girl,
I
bye.
was, like, messed up on the way home. Like, I remember this like it
Mm,
was yesterday, and I'm not lying about it. I was just like, "So I'm supposed to be living my dreams and, like,
mm,
raising these kids?" Like, I hadn't thought about it at that time. Like,
mm,
I do have things I wanna do, yes, and even becoming an actor. So, okay, here's the story
mm.
about the actor.
Okay.
When I was at Howard, there was a time I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to go to Hollywood and be an actress, but I always had a kid. I had a kid when I was in my first kid when I was in high school. I took that
Mm.
kid to Howard University with me. That's a whole nother story. But I never felt like I could go do the broke actor thing in Hollywood because I always had responsibilities. So I
Mm.
still had that desire in me though to be an actress. So I found an agent in Columbus, Ohio,
Mhm.
and I did commercials. So Columbus is a test market. Not everybody, this might be TMI, but Columbus is a test market. There's a lot of corporations here. And so the bread and butter in this acting market is industrial commercials and voiceovers. And I was in the
Mhm.
game, baby. I mean, I've been doing it for 18 years, like all,
Wow.
going to auditions and driving to Cleveland and doing all my stuff, my voiceovers. Like, so I was an actress in my way.
Mhm.
I fulfilled that desire while having all my kids. But that's where it came from, that become an actor
Mm.
in your own life, because I made that happen. And I did that, like, I'm telling you, for 18 years.
Wow. This is so remarkable. I just got so much information just from this. Seriously, like I'm gonna go back and rewatch it, take my notes, take my like my collection plate, and because it's really real. These are things people struggle with every single day with
Yeah.
becoming actors in their own lives. They've spent so many years having people be in the forefront in their life. So many people just don't even understand the power that they have themselves to be who they need to be only simply by taking action, just doing the
Yeah.
things that you want to do to get you there.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you this,
Mhm.
and this is for regarding your book. What are some of the key takeaways, just one concept in your book that you want people to get? I know we talked about a lot, and you may have mentioned this already in our conversation, but for your readers, what is the one takeaway you want them to get from reading your book?
So for become an actor, a couple of things. One, I think it's important that you're the director, you're in charge, you're writing the script, you are also the talent. In this book, it shows you how to set that stage for success. But the reality is, you have to do the work. If you're
Mm,
not taking action and staying in action, that's the consistent action, you still will not realize your dreams. And
mm,
honestly, that's the truth. I've said it, it's out there. There is
mhm,
no magic pill there. You can read the book, but if you're not applying it and you're not taking the action, and I think that's what surprises people the most. Sometimes you think you read a book, you think you're going to read a book and you're going to lose weight. You think you're going to get on the treadmill twice and you're going to lose weight. Like it took you longer than that to put the weight on. It's going to take a amount of time to get the weight off. Realizing your dreams is that same thing. Being successful is
Mhm.
that same thing. You have to take
Mm.
consistent action. So consistent action is my thing. I call myself the take action strategist because you have to take the action, but then you have to stay in the action. So
Mm.
consistent action will get you where you need to be. That's where you start seeing the results. I say anybody can dream a dream, but it's in your daily actions where those dreams
Mm.
become
That's
reality. It's
good.
not action here or there.
Yeah,
And
that's good. Y'all hear that?
that's what wears us out sometimes because we just want to take action here and there, and you can't. You
Yeah.
have to stay in it for the long game and you have to take consistent action. That's the action that pays off.
Mm. And that's the action that's not 30 days or less, right? That's not the microwave action or the
Yeah.
the drive-through action that we're so used to. That's the action
Yeah.
that, you're going to have to really, really do. I have
Yeah.
been challenged to just, be in my business for 30 days straight. I was so tired. I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm doing that on top of therapy and other things, and I was
Mhm.
just exhausted. Like, okay, okay, God. But it built character in me, right? And it showed me, okay, you could do it. If you could do it for 30 days, after 30 days, I developed a different system. So it became
Mhm.
easier. So sometimes you
Yeah.
just got to get over that hurdle of, you're new to this action. You got to get over that hurdle to get you there. But I think consistency is the one thing that is breaking us down from really
Oh yeah.
reaching our goals and why
Yeah.
we're like having this hiccups.
Consistency, and then also people not being real honest with people
Ooh.
about what it takes to really do this for the long haul. Everybody is in this mode of get rich quick. You got
Mm.
internet stars, you got influencers, people who are saying they're making money by doing nothing or doing a couple of hours a week, and we get seduced by that message. And yes,
Mm.
there are people who have done things here and there, and it does look like it's an overnight success, but there are plenty of people who will tell you their success may look like it's overnight, but they've been in this game for a while. And if it's what you're called to do, you have to love what you do because you're going to be in it. An entrepreneur does not mean that, everybody works a 2-hour work week, because I work more in my business than I did at a job.
Yeah.
I work more in my own solopreneur business than ever. We think that being an entrepreneur means time freedom and that we're going to travel the world and work from anywhere and don't do anything. And I think that's the unfortunate thing. And that makes people tired. So that 30 days could wipe somebody out. Like, I've been in it 30 days and I'm not a millionaire yet. I haven't made a sale. Like, so they give up and they quit because they didn't get that result. So as a coach, I don't make those kind of promises. I'm
Yeah.
on here today telling you, if you don't take the consistent action, become an actor is going to be a great read because I'm pretty funny, if I say so myself, but you're not going to get the result that you need if you're not willing to put into practice what I'm sharing in the book. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
pretty funny though.
Yes, she is. So this is amazing. So can you tell us where we're able to get become an actor? Like when we gonna drop this gem? Because I know it's gonna be so dope. Tell the audience where we can get it and when it's dropping.
So definitely stay tuned to the website, tamarahartley.com. I was telling Janelle earlier that I don't know that I'm doing a big release around it because I really just want to get into action with the book and start, sharing it in my podcast and sharing it in my business. I might do something later that's a big ta-da, but really it's just getting the work out there that's most
Mm.
important. So just stay tuned to that website. It will be out in the first quarter of this year as far as the workbook and being able to start applying and reading it. So stay tuned to the website. I promise it's going to be on there. I'm very excited about it. The finishing touches are happening now. So it will be on there. So just stay tuned to the website.
Yes, and I will keep you guys posted. I'll also put her link in the bio or in the description in YouTube so that you guys can have her information. But other than that, I will keep you posted. So even if it's not on there, I'm gonna go back on there and be like, hey, her book dropped, go get it. But more than that, you're able to sign up on her email list. I mean, like you're able to like
Absolutely.
go to her website, sign up for her email list. So when it does drop, you be the first to know. So can you tell us where we can find you on your website and also in your social media sites?
Absolutely. So tamarahartley.com is my official website. I do have like some freebies on there. You can sign up for my email list. I'm doing some revamping in the business and putting together a different podcast. And some of you might know me from some of the podcasts that I've done. I've done, Dream Do Done. We did that for 3 years. I did Your Sister Friends, so I've always been Tamara Hartley on all of those shows. And I've always been the one talking about taking action and doing this kind of work. So some of that stuff is still out there, but social media, I'm Tamara Hartley. I am Tamara Hartley, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not on the other ones as much. I do have a Twitter. I mean, not a Twitter, but a TikTok. My kids try to convince me to do a little dancing here and there, but it's not business related, but I tried it.
So we are going to drop all her information so that you can have it. We just don't want you to have it though. We want you to get on her list. So when this book drop, we know, especially if you're a coach, a business owner, male or female, whatever you're doing,
Yes.
and you're ready to to take your life to the next level. You're ready to see improvement in your life. You're ready to stop making excuses as why your life is here. You already did 10 resolutions and you quit 5 of them already. And it's January 28th. If you're really ready for some serious change and understanding your role and take responsibility and becoming an actor, sign up today. So it's been a pleasure to have you here. Listen, I can literally talk to her for like 5 hours. It's like, seriously, like we can keep going. So the information is very important. She just thinks different to me. And it just really touches my heart. It's logical thinking. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it. And so this is why I love having conversations with her. So make sure you check her out. So I appreciate you all watching. Thank you, Tamara, for coming and just spending your time with me. To all my audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Always remember to be authentic, purpose-driven, and powerful. We'll see you next time, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. See you later. Bye.